Welcome to the Note, I'm Mica.
I'm Ben.
One of the biggest concerns about the Switch from, weary Nintendo fans was whether or not the console would be getting third-party support. And while Nintendo's first-party content has it's just killed the game.
Knocked out of the park.
There's been a little bit of doubt about how enthusiastically everyone else would develop for the system.
But apparently all that's in the past. Just 1 week after rumors went around that third-party developers are now, quote, scrambling to support the Switch, we've now got reports confirming it, with at least one developer announcing that they're working on some major exclusive titles, along with some new data about just how successful third-party software has been selling.
Translation, people are starting to make lots of money thanks to the Switch, and now developers want in on the party. So are we about to see an influx of games for this year's hottest system? I hope so. I want to play every game everywhere on the Switch.
Either way, I am so down for this party.
Right?
Well, to answer your question, yes and no.
Oh, okay.
Because not everybody's on board just yet, and frankly, developing video games takes a whole lot of time.
What? So let's back up just a little bit. Last week, the Wall Street Journal released a report that Hirozaku Hamamura, the head of Japanese gaming magazine publisher GZ Brain, the guys that own popular gaming mag Famitsu, dropped some insider tidbits to them in a piece that they did about Nintendo's most recent earnings report.
Cool. Hamamura told them that based on what he'd heard from around the Japanese gaming industry, third-party developers are now in a bit of a scramble to bring games to the system. Part of the reason for that scramble is, well, all of them thought that the Switch was going to be another Wii U-like disaster and didn't expect it to sell near as well as it has since its launch back in March.
What that means is that some of these biggest exclusives for the Switch, according to Hamamura, won't be due until around 2019, because now that they've realized the platform is a hit, they've changed up the game a little bit to get more games out for it.
Sweet, that gives me time to go through my backlog. And as of this week, those dominoes are already starting to fall, because Bandai Namco just announced that they're reallocating their resources in such a way that they can bring not just one, but 3 exclusive Switch titles with their releases due out during spring and summer in 2018.
According to the Wall Street Journal's Takashi Mochizuki, these are big titles from the company. Bandai Namco president Mitsuaki Taguchi said to investors, "We have put out 3 games on the Switch so far, and all of them are doing well. It's a shame, but we didn't think the Switch would be accepted this fast."
Sorry we didn't make you all more money. We totally thought that Nintendo's system was gonna bomb, is basically what they're saying.
None of this should be too surprising considering how successful the Switch's launch has been since its March debut. Nintendo revealed in its recent earnings statement that they've moved more than 7 million Switches and project 14 million shipped in this fiscal year alone. But even better than those numbers is the console's attach rate, which is about 4 games per unit sold, with 28 million games purchased for the Switch so far, so that's money.
Jesus. Yeah, that's just a little bit.
Just a smidgen of money.
And while most of those are first-party software sales, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8, and Breath of the Wild no doubt make up the bulk of sales, third-party titles are doing very well on the system.
Which is most apparent with publisher Ubisoft. Ubisoft released their own financial statement this week, revealing that a shocking amount of their sales were generated all thanks to, surprise, surprise, their Switch games.
It's almost like a portable AAA powerhouse console would do
thing.
well.
Yeah, I know, weird.
Right. I absolutely have my Switch on me right now. Apparently people love Just Dance and Mario plus Rabbids, because Ubisoft said that Switch sales made up for 19% of their overall software totals in Q2 of 2017. If you're wondering, that's tied with their software sales on PC. They didn't disclose just how many units Mario plus Rabbids sold overall, but considering how many games Ubisoft publishes, that number's gotta be significant.
Which will likely lead to even more Switch exclusive games from the publisher and possibly other developers just using them as a test case, leading to even more. However, there are going to be some major outliers despite all this success, you stubborn bastards, you.
One such developer, EA, for instance, still doesn't know how to handle the console, particularly after the sort of fumbled launch of FIFA 18. According to some retail reports, the system only sold 1% of all of its units on the Switch in its first week. That's a far cry from Ubisoft's 19%, no pun intended.
But since then, they said they're still going to be in wait and see mode, which isn't an unreasonable position to take, although the port missing a bunch of features like online play might be a little bit of the reason why, but so maybe they shouldn't write it off completely.
Meanwhile, another major publisher, Capcom, is sort of trying to have their cake and eat it too when it comes to the Switch. They made excuses about their lack of support for the console, besides Monster Hunter Double Cross and the overpriced Ultra Street Fighter 2, by saying, well, it's hard to make games in just a year, so instead they just made some old ports. But apparently that might change in the future as well.
In all, you can't really stick it to these developers and publishers for holding off on the Switch after what happened with the Wii U. That system was doomed by its install base, which ended up in abysmal third-party support.
And despite the Switch selling well to start off its launch, some gamers have still been worried that the Switch hasn't escaped that same fate. Fortunately, these new reports should help lay some of those fears to rest. So come on, third-party developers, bring on those games.
So
more games.
What do you guys think of the recent rumors and, more importantly, announcements that third-party development for Switch seems to be ramping up in a big way? What games do you want to see on the Switch? I know I want every Persona game ever. Let us know in the comments.
Animal Crossing, Golf Story 2, Stardew Valley 2, just like
Stardew Valley 2,
yes.
a game that isn't even out yet. I want it.
I want it. For future updates on all things related to Nintendo, remember to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to the know. But apparently, all that's in the past, just 1 week after rumors went around the third-party
Last week, the Wall Street Journal released a report that Hirozaku Hamamura, I was thinking about Overwatch. Hamamura. Hirozaku Hamamura.
Yuga Waka Teki Roku. I remembered it.
You did. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.